when it comes to the actual ingredients that make up the design of a public space, we do care a lot about durability. We do care a lot about aesthetics of the thing. And it's not necessarily about trying to specify something particularly expensive, but more about having a real clarity to how it's implemented within a space, I think. And that could range from railings to artwork, even. And I think, more and more people understand that that's critical, that caring about those elements is critical to making a space successful and drawing people to it and making people want to be there. And that people wanting to be there is the most important part of it being successful in a way, because the people are the best insurance against anything bad that you might associate with a public space. Yeah, I don't think that sustainability and durability have to be at odds with one another. And in fact, the whole notion of sustainability should be about durability as well. I think that you have to look to materials that are robust but avoid the worst impacts of what remains a toxic construction industry for the most part. Um, that doesn't mean you can't use concrete, but it does mean that where possible we try to use wood. Where possible we try to use recyclable or recycled materials, even in terms of metals. Pushing towards, for example, using um, certain woods in public spaces also lends warmth to those spaces, both figuratively and literally in winter conditions. So it's can be a win-win, even though there's cost implications. Maybe a good example of that is at the 11th Street Bridge Park, a new public space that we're making over the Anacostia River in Washington, D.C. We're looking at making the railings, the guardrails all along the bridge, actually out of Orsa grill material, kind of industrial material that's metal, but that is quite robust, but by virtue of being made of most likely aluminum, actually. It's something that can be recycled or is even maybe will have recycled components in it. Everyone is very interested in the benefits of having more greenery within public spaces, and that's, of course, there's a benefit in terms of the way that people enjoy the space, but there's mainly a stormwater benefit, and I think interest in trying to avoid continuing to pollute, rivers and other bodies of water that are around our cities with stormwater runoff that's polluted is something that's really driving a lot of decisions there. In both in places directly adjacent to water, like us at the Bridge Park, but also elsewhere too. And so it's great to see more and more of that happening, and more effort going to integrate it into designs as well in a way that doesn't become disruptive in public spaces. The real challenge is trying to make a public space that where you can be actually lonely and alone, that simultaneously feels successful and safe. I think there's been a lot of progress in trying to be very proactive in programming public spaces and putting activities throughout public spaces, parks, and other places in order to energize them and draw people. And then at the moment, there's maybe a need to focus on also thinking about how to make spaces where you can, where you don't have those things, or you have a different kind of occupying it that's more solitary even. And that's something you've seen maybe, especially lately with COVID and its impact on how we can even use public spaces. Well, I think one of the things we saw, over the course of the last almost year is that initial concerns about people being together outdoors in the way that they typically are in a public space, at least, are not as concerning as we initially imagined. There's of course a need to control overcrowding, and so I think certain ways of controlling crowding in public spaces is going to be important, or controlling the sheer amount of people that can be in a particular place at times. But I think more than anything, the pandemic really heightened the importance of public space and the importance of allowing for shared spaces where people can can be outside comfortably, especially in a situation like we've experienced across the globe over the last nearly a year now.